release
all of them.
everyone!
All right. How are you?
Fantastic. Sleep
Impressive,
deprived.
considering. Oh,
What? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to have a more normal schedule with the new job.
You know, that would be the thought. That would be the lie they told me to get me to take the job.
I understand. So, everybody ready for us to get started?
Sure.
I'm just pulling up the comic.
Just the one?
Well, one at a time, presumably.
Yes. I'm crippled. I only have one screen. And it's only 13 inches. Shut up.
Mine's less than 13 inches.
Not something to be proud of, sweetie.
I think my monitor is 22 inches. Not to brag or anything.
Oh, I missed you guys. I can't navigate the Marvel website, apparently.
The website's kind of terrible.
Fuck. I do this every time. Okay, where am I going? Browse. Series.
Of course, the last one's not on unlimited because it's annoying.
Well, yeah. And I have to download it on this machine. Okay. Avengers 127? 28, 29.
28, 29, yes.
Yeah, I knew that.
With the ever-powerful Necrodamus.
Who I completely leave off of my summary.
Despite it being the entirety of 128.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of 128 that is not very Mantis-centric, so we'll cover that. So,
Oh, actually, yes, Mantis is in some of these things.
Yes, that is who we're covering.
Well, yes, I knew that, but I was trying to think, because it was mostly the whole Necrodamus thing, and then I remembered at the very end there's the whole Kang bit. But yeah, I guess there are some pages with her.
Yeah, while she's busy, while Scarlet Witch is busy, Mantis makes her move. Anyway, we should talk about that as we talk about it. So,
before we start.
Yes.
Sorry. How's the audio quality?
You're a little quiet now.
How's this?
Now you're a little creepy, but louder.
Okay, how's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm all set.
All right. I might need to kick my cat out of my room first. Close the door. Yeah. You want to go down? She's like, I kind of want to go down, but the door's closed. So I don't know if I want to go down. Come on, Malibu. Let's go down. Yep. I know.
You're the worst.
Yes, our dog Indy grunks at me when I try to move him.
I fully expect one of my cats to make a cameo at some point, since I'm in their room tonight.
They have their own separate room?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. So I'll start. Then it'll be Jeff, then Kit.
Okay.
Marvelous.
Okay. And this is actually going to be episode 16 because we compressed 14 and 15 in our last recording. I must admit, I don't know how well that one turned out because I was half asleep when we recorded it, and like half the stuff I meant to say, I didn't say, but I'm sure we can fill in the gaps. Anyway, welcome to Cosmic Tales, episode 16, a Guardians of the Galaxy podcast. I'm Jesse Butler, and I'm here with...
Jeff Davis.
And I'm Kit Paris.
And today we're going to continue our look at Mantis and her stint with the Avengers. We're going to take a look at Avengers 128, 129, and then Giant Sized Avengers number 2.
Yeah.
So, anybody have anything to say before I give a summary of the first issue?
Sounds great.
Necrodamus.
Okay. So we've skipped a few issues from our last Mantis coverage because they're just sort of some generic Avengers adventures, but nothing that really speaks to Mantis as a character other than she's there. So with Avengers 128, we join the Avengers as they return from a team-up with the Fantastic Four. Or is it 5, since Medusa seems to be on the team? Just as they arrive at the Avengers mansion, a freak lightning storm hits. Thor tries to dissipate the storm with his thunder god powers, but is unable to affect the unnatural weather. Mantis shows off her prowess by dodging each strike that comes near her. Only the witch powers of Agatha Harkness, the Richards family nursemaid, can make the storm subside. Miss Harkness explains that she was the target of the mystical attack, something she expected. She declares that her time with the Fantastic Four is concluded, for now it is time to teach the Scarlet Witch to unlock her true potential. Fantastic Four depart, and the two witches seclude themselves to deal with further mystic attacks that Miss Harkness expects. The two will be busy for the rest of the issue dealing with that, but we don't really need to go into such details. Meanwhile, Swordsman tries to talk to Mantis, but she spurns him, explaining matter-of-factly that she no longer cares for him. Swordsman gets so worked up that he attacks Iron Man and Thor, but after a short battle he is subdued. Mantis ignores his cries and makes her way to the Vision's room. Mantis appeals to the Vision for help, noting they both have had identity issues recently, and perhaps together they may learn more of themselves. Vision, being a friendly android, agrees. Mantis moves in closer and tries to convince the Vision that they should have a more intimate arrangement. The Vision rejects her advances, telling her she is just a friend. They are interrupted by a commotion outside. A newborn star hangs above the Avengers mansion, but with it, Kang the Conqueror appears.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We don't really
So
have a lot to talk about.
Sure we do. There's lots to talk about here. The one thing I should mention, I think it's one of the issues leading up to this. There's this great, I don't know what great, but there's a scene that's foreshadowing the Mantis Vision Swordsman love triangle, or is it a quadruple? Never mind. Trapezoid. That's the word I'm looking at, with the Scarlet Witch. Since like Mantis and Swordsman are kissing, but Mantis is looking up over Swordsman's shoulder at Vision standing on the balcony, and it's kind of weird.
Creepy.
So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of this issue and Mantis's portrayal so far?
She's moderately confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Because she seems incredibly flighty and very, very haughty, and for some reason almost immediately becomes enamored of the Vision, even though she's been with the Swordsman for so long. And I don't quite get that. I mean, I like the Vision, but he's not exactly, romance central for most people.
I think that her motivations there aren't too confusing for me, just given how she met Swordsman and her history. But I mean, it definitely is. It feels contrived.
Going after Vision or her with the Swordsman?
Yes.
Okay, I can take that. I mean, I didn't know much about the Swordsman before we started reading some of the Avengers books, but he doesn't really strike me as a very well thought out or very robust character.
Yeah, well, his origin is Hawkeye with a sword.
Right.
But not as good.
And a lot more volatile.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Hawkeye's kind of skirted that that line, but he hasn't really gone completely over to being a villain, and then come back to being a hero, and then gone over to being a villain, and then come back to being a hero.
Yeah, most of his use in modern comics is as flashbacks to Hawkeye's youth because they trained together in the circus. We forgot to mention that before, and as kind of a dark mirror of Hawkeye if he'd made bad choices.
So, quite the circus where you learn to be a super extrovert marksman and a skilled swordsman with an energy blasting sword.
Well, I think he got the sword later, but he did sword tricks, in this. I don't know. I haven't actually read that many of the early Avengers encounters with swordsmen, which we were recapped last episode when we saw him join the team again for like the third or fourth time, but not betray them this time, but look like he was betraying them because that's the twist.
He's good for that twist. But it's... I mean, Mantis clearly understands that Wanda and Vision are a thing. And so it comes off as a little bit weird from that perspective. Like it almost comes off as if she's completely unaware of any social connotations.
Homewrecker?
Well, and it doesn't seem to occur to her that she's homewrecker, even though she acknowledges the fact that the two of them are together, because earlier on when the thunderstorm's happening, Vision stays solid to block the thunderbolts because he's trying to protect Wanda. And Mantis makes the offhanded comment of, you wouldn't be suffering as much if you were intangible, but of course you have to remain solid in order to protect Wanda. So she clearly knows the relationship. She clearly understands that it's important to the two of them, yet she wants to completely disrupt it for reasons that remain unknown to me at the moment. And at the same time, she's got Swordsman who's gone from, guy she kind of liked and was around to ultra super clingy boyfriend level 25. And so I can kind of understand why she's like, you know what, you can just go over there. But the fact that he continues to maintain this also seems a little contrived. I mean, she's clearly spurning you, yet you're so obsessed that shortly after she says, I don't want you around anymore, all of a sudden you're whipping out your sword and taking on two of the heaviest hitters in the Avengers.
I think that, for me at least, that felt probably the most real out of all of it, because in Swordsman's history, we've seen him switch sides a lot and act kind of without reason. And so the idea that he could just snap and suddenly he could be screaming he's going to kill her because he loves her so much that he hates her felt actually really in character for him.
Okay, I could certainly see that.
Yeah, it's like everyone else, I'm pretty good with the way they're portrayed, but Mantis is kind of being played up into the evil seductress tropes.
Yeah. Except, I mean, even evil seductresses usually have some justification that, oh, I didn't think you were actually serious with her. Or, oh, she's probably just a little fling or something. But she clearly understands the weight, and yet she's still doing the thing.
Yeah. It's not very satisfying.
No.
Well, it is for her, but...
Well, it doesn't even seem that satisfying for her, because she doesn't get very far.
It's true.
Well, the way the issue is set up, and I didn't really cover that in my synopsis, but it's flashing back and forth between the scenes of Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness dealing with their stuff, and Mantis doing her things, and so it's not actually until the final page that Vision actually rejects her. So they're trying to hold the tension of is Vision going to stay with Scarlet Witch, or is she going to go with the Mantis? So
I value you as a friend.
Friend
But
zone.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Look at that. Look at that. She's friend zoned, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
yeah.
Social commentary, dude.
I actually feel compelled to read out his lines. Mantis, you must not talk like this. It's Wanda I love, no matter how irritable she may have been lately. I value you as a friend, but there can be no more between us. And then Kang appears, so no further conversation.
Well, of course not. You got to leave it on that cliffhanger there.
Right.
I mean, there is some. Again, this kind of feeds into the seductress trope. Sorry. Um, but there is some of that whole, I don't quite know who I am, and you don't quite know who you completely are. So maybe the two of us could kind of figure out who we are, but then there's that implied we can figure out who we are by doing stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But,
Doing stuff.
stuff. Um,
So should we take a look at issue 129?
Before we do,
Sure.
I just wanted to say that a few of the things that really stood out for me in this issue art-wise was the old witch who is training in Scarlet Witch. Her face looks like a melted candle. And the way that Mantis is drawn in this is way different from the last time we talked about her. They've definitely upped the contour of her face and made a lot of her features a lot more dramatic. And they've also, I think they're trying to make her look more Asian than she did before. I don't like it.
yeah, they're not doing a particularly good job of it. Most of
No.
her facial expressions are. I don't quite know what's the good word for it, but she kind of has this gapey sort of glaring look.
She looks very cold and lifeless.
Yeah, and in particular, the close up when she's talking to the Vision
Mm-hmm.
um, on 27, the top three right in the middle there, it's almost like she's smelled something really, really bad, and she's also at the same time trying to figure out what it is with the raised eyebrows and the pursed together lips and the overly dramatic shadowing of most of her face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say the shadowing of her scenes is definitely very odd. Like, I mean, they're trying to make it dark, like it's in a candlelit room or something. I don't know. It's just feels very darkly shaded, any of her scenes.
Yeah.
That was all I had.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
So, issue 129, I gotta say the cover is a fantastic Kang cover.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, Kang towering over the Avengers saying, Kang the Conqueror has a message for the world. Bid tomorrow goodbye.
Goodbye.
Gives me chills.
Well, it would if Kang the Conqueror's costume was not completely absurd to me.
Like blue face, purple helmet, and green tunic. I mean, come on.
Classic.
More to the point, he looks like a He-Man action figure.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like you should be able to spin his face around, and there will be another face on the back.
Well, so one problem with a lot of 60s villains, and, well, just villains in general, is, like, heroes, they tend to make red and yellow and blue, primary colors, and then that left purples and greens and oranges for villains. So a lot of villains have terrible color schemes.
Yeah, because it is very Lex Luthor in color scheme as well.
Yeah.
Because he also did the whole purple-green thing. Although that does bring into question the Vision is mostly green and Mantis is green.
Well, so the thing you got to remember about Vision is, I think, in his first appearance, he was a creation of Ultron. So, like, that green is to kind of maybe make you think maybe he's going to be a villain, and then, of course, he ends up not being a villain. But
Mm-hmm.
just like Swordsman, his costume is purple, and he's been a villain in more of his appearances than
a
a
hero.
hero at this point. So, but like, Thor has just always been a hero, so he's just blue suit, red cape.
Yeah, the classic Superman kind of color scheme.
Yeah.
Gotta say also, Kang's boots. Wow. The thigh-high ridged boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
particularly flattering on the opening page of 198, where you get the back shot of him, and yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. So let me go ahead and give us a brief summary of 129. So the Avengers move to attack Kang the Conqueror, but his army of Macrobots prove too much for them, and they are quickly subdued. More about that later. Even poor Jarvis is paralyzed by a ray. Kang declares that the star heralds the completeness of the celestial Madonna, the perfect woman who will bear his child. Since he's uncertain which of the women is the Madonna, he takes all three, plus the three strongest Avengers as prisoners, leaving only Swordsman and Jarvis behind. Swordsman vows that he will rescue his love, even though Kang didn't feel he was a threat. Unfortunately, he doesn't know where they went. Luckily, Agatha Harkness uses her witch powers to tell him that they were taken to the pyramid of the pharaoh Rama-Tut. Swordsman takes one of the Avengers' jets and flashbacks to happier times when Mantis first loved him. Once he reaches Egyptian airspace, he's attacked. Not waiting to try and get clearance as an Avenger, he shoots down a fighter before crashing near the pyramid. Kang detects Swordsman is outside. Realizing Miss Harkness must be the cause of his appearance, he zaps her again before reminiscing about his past as a pharaoh. Swordsman finds a secret way into the pyramid, but accidentally releases a vampire, Amenhotep. But accidentally releases a vampire, Amenhotep, trapped for some 5,000 years. The vampire attacks the soldiers that came looking for the swordsman, but forgets about the sun and is destroyed. Kang seals the three male Avengers into Macrobots, readying them for the next phase in his conquest of Earth. Swordsman is ready to sneak up on Kang when a new person pulls him back. The stranger declares that he is Rama-Tut. So that is that issue.
Yeah.
It seems a bit convenient that the Avengers are taken down so quickly, but that's to make room for, really this is a Swordsman issue of him kind of struggling to prove that he's still a hero and worthy to rescue his love.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's not doing bad, I gotta say. He is getting the Harkness assist, but it does showcase the fact that he's not a complete blundering idiot.
Yeah.
Which, considering how often they use him as an almost complete blundering idiot, is kind of nice to see. Also, we see Kang's capacity to look forward in time and cheat in order to immediately beat the Avengers at their own game, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have we talked about Kang before on the podcast?
I don't think so.
I think we might have in a part we cut before an episode. Anyway, so yes, Kang is a longtime Avengers foe who is from the future and has conquered his future. So to have a more satisfying conquest, he comes to the past and tries to conquer the Avengers and fails every time.
That always makes a show of it.
Yes. And at some point along the way, I don't remember if it's here or... No, it must have been before this. It was decided that... so there's an early Fantastic Four story before Kang is even introduced, where they go back in time to the pyramids and encounter the Pharaoh Rama-Tut, who is some sort of time traveler from the future who has taken over ancient Egypt. And I don't know, the Avengers, or the Fantastic Four hang out there, defeat him, and then come back to the present. And then somewhere along the way, they decided that Kang and Rama-Tut were the same person, and that Rama-Tut was an early version of Kang.
Or, as we find out in this issue, an late version of Kang.
Right. So that's the surprising twist that, they encounter Ramatut when they're dealing with Kang, and they're like, wait, how is this? It's complicated.
Yeah, because anytime comics seem to deal with time travel, it's never good. I mean, it's interesting, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's always excessively convoluted.
The great thing about Kang is if you find the Marvel Handbook article about him, it's like 6 pages, and it has a little timeline running along the bottom of the article that goes along all 6 pages and is complicated.
Yeah, because he keeps bouncing around from era to era to era, because his big shtick is that he's always looking for things to conquer. Because, as we find out, I can't remember if it's in this one or a previous one, his time period is boring because, it's all peaceful and advanced and wonderful and fantastic. And so he is so bored of this that he needs to go back in time or go somewhere else in order to be able to find something to conquer. And then when he conquers one thing, he's like, I'm bored with this. I need to go conquer something else, so I'll go conquer something else. And he pretty much bounces around the time stream, constantly trying to conquer things. Yeah. Never does he consider conquering polio or conquering, fear or anything like that. It's always subjugating a group of people.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be a supervillain if you, cured cancer.
But wouldn't you? Because Lex Luthor did.
I know.
Anyway, also weird that he has a time-traveling Sphinx to start with. I mean, sure, some people use phone booths, police boxes, DeLoreans, but Sphinxes? But yeah, we find out he was Ramatut. He goes back in time, conquers Egypt, runs into the Fantastic Four. They kick him out, so he actually uses the tiny time sphere that's inside the Sphinx, which is the only thing that really was required to travel through time, and flies through time into the 41st century, and then conquers everything, and then gets bored, so he decides to conquer the 20th century.
Yeah.
It's a nice middle ground.
Yeah. It's between, I suppose, the Egyptian time period and 40th century, kind of. A little bit more weighted towards the future, but... And I do have to say that Swordsman's tromping through the pyramid is a little contrived as well, because they have him be fairly competent, decent pilot, figure out a couple of things himself, and then all of a sudden the vampire shows up. He's completely incapable of doing anything, so people show up to distract him, distract the vampire from him, and then he's stumbling all over the place, trips on something, gets scared, and then runs off, and then manages to find Kang.
Yeah.
It's all kind of also weird using Avengers as the power sources for Macrobots.
Yeah, we'll get into that mostly next issue, but yeah, it is a little weird. So the annoying thing I find is this has the trope of all the women are there to be rescued.
Yes, all the women are there to be rescued, and some dashing chap's going to do it until the twist.
Despite one of them being Scarlet Witch, which we know from later stories, is like the most powerful, one of the most powerful mutants on the planet.
Yeah, to the point where she gets up to the point where she can rewrite reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, she needs to be rescued. Well, as we learned from the previous one, she can only do 3 hexes before she's exhausted.
That's true. She hasn't finished her training with Agatha Harkness yet.
Yeah.
Um,
And she
So
only just was able to do a fourth X. So that was like mind blowing.
I don't know which page this is, because I don't have numbers. But at the bottom of, shoot, where am I? Like just over halfway through the book, Kang has his flashback, and he says, eventually ran afoul of the Fantastic Four, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, at the bottom of the page, Mantis and Scarlet Witch basically say to him, dude, if you seek women, then you shouldn't have a problem letting us go, and then we'll show you what a conquest is. And I thought that kind of redeemed the women only being around to be captured.
yeah,
Oh yeah, they're both feisty, as they say.
but that
yeah.
is the only real panel they get to do much in this whole issue.
Fully agree. But I
Yeah.
do want to bring focus to that panel because it
Yeah.
does exist.
It is a great little panel.
Other than that, I have nothing to say about this issue.
Yeah. It's so I'm not really sure what the story with the Giant Size Avengers was, but it was, I think, kind of a way to try and do like more issues because Avengers was one of their top selling titles. So to try and squeeze more in a year, they kind of like it seemed like every couple issues did a giant sized that's in a different numbering, but is pretty much to be continued and right in between regular issues, so you kind of have to read them if you're reading along.
There's even a note at the beginning of this one that says, read this one before that one.
Yeah.
Right, because I think these two would have hit the stands at about the same time, or would have been on the stands at the same time.
And with this particular Giant Size Avengers, it makes a little bit of sense because they also include they effectively reprint the issue where they first had Rama Tut show up in the back half of it.
Yeah, it seems a little cheating to like giant-sized. Here's a slightly longer story and a reprint of an old story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of a Fantastic Four story, much less.
I mean, at least does relate to the Rama Tut story.
Yeah.
And to be fair, at this point, they didn't really have trades and collections, so it's not like you could have gone back and found that Fantastic Four story very easily from 1962.
True, because you would have actually had to have the issue itself. So,
but yeah, this issue definitely suffers from being just kind of set up to get you into the Giant Size Avengers conclusion of this arc.
Yeah.
I don't have a CBR program on my laptop. I'm ill prepared.
You just rename
I
it.
currently use CBR Reader, I think is what it's called. Oh no, C Display X. That's one that I found. Yeah.
Oddly enough, I found out that like the CDR and CBZ format is really just a RAR or a zip file. If you rename it and look at it, it's just they displayed them in alphabetical order.
So it's just a series of images in a zip file, effectively?
Yes.
Ah.
That is the file format. So I was like, how do I make my own if I wanted to, because I was going to play around with something. And it turns out, no, you just put some images in a folder and zip it.
And then rename the file extension.
Yep.
Yay, technology!
Alright, hold on. Sorry.
It's alright. I think we're on schedule.
Or schedule, if you prefer.
No, definitely not. But yes, I should put on my iPad. I've been liking Chunky Comic Reader.
Oh my god, there's so much. Sorry, I'm looking at C Display X, and there's just so much bloatware that you have to uncheck. I was just getting irritated.
Yeah, that's the problem with it being free.
Yeah.
The other one I've got is like Comic Rack, I don't know if it's any better.
I'm also just enjoying looking at all of the old comic book advertisements.
Oh yeah, in the original.
Yeah, like the Olympic Sales Club, where for 12 boxes you can get a Kodak Instamatic and color camera outfit. Or with 8 boxes you can get the electric baseball game. Or the senior chemistry lab.
You can send
Hello,
for a
computer. There it is. Okay,
free
I'm up.
Muscle Fighter 4 book.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely want to cash in on that.
A Tale of Changes featuring Rowdy, Return of Hawkeye the Marksman.
Is he that rowdy?
Hold on to your hats, folks. This is Clint Barton as you've never seen him before. Or
Are
see
we
him
pretty sure? Because
all the time.
yeah,
He wasn't
Thanks, Matt Fraction.
quite as um, frequently used back this point. I mean, he was certainly an Avenger for a long time and stuff, but
well, I know he started the West Coast Avengers.
have they started at this point?
Well, no, I'm not sure if they've started at this point. That's just where I first ran into Hawkeye was West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a summary for us, Jesse?
Yes, I do. I was just waiting for everyone to be settled in.
I apologize, but I am now
No, no, no.
loaded and wonderful and ready to go.
All right.
Woohoo!
So now on to Giant Size Avengers number 2. So this one starts with Hawkeye hears the troubles with the Avengers and heads to the mansion to learn what's up. Jarvis fills him in with a recap before being joined by his old mentor swordsman and Rama Tut. Hawkeye doesn't trust Rama Tut because he remembers Hawkeye doesn't trust Rama Tut because he remembers that was the name Kang used when he was Pharaoh. He reluctantly chooses to fight alongside with them. Kang sends Vision Macrobot to the UN for an assassination, but Swordsman and company are there to stop him thanks to Ramatut's future knowledge and teleportation technology. At first, they can't defeat the bot until Ramatut tells Hawkeye that it's powered by Vision, so the Archer uses an oil arrow to block his solar charging gem from getting light. They then free the Vision. Back in Kang's lab, Mantis and Scarlet Witch bicker about whose man the Vision is. Kang sends the Iron Man Macrobot to China, but once again, the Free Avengers. Let me try that. Kang sends the Iron Man Macrobot to China, but once again, the Free Avengers arrive to stop him. This time, only Vision's partially phased cape can disable the bot and free Iron Man. Enraged, Kang sends Thor Macrobot. Well, it looks like the Thunder God is killing the weakened Iron Man. The lightning is absorbed and restores him to full strength. While the fight is going on, Vision snuck into Kang's ship and frees Mantis and the others. With the Avengers assembled once again, they quickly bring down the Thorbot. Kang confronts the mysterious stranger who has remained hidden behind a trenchcoat during the battles. He is astonished to learn that his future self returns to being Ramatut and seeks to undo the evils he performed while younger. During the chronal upsets that occur as young and old Kang fight, it is revealed that Mantis is the Celestial Madonna. Kang cannot defeat his older incarnation, but vows to keep the Celestial Madonna from anyone else. He shoots her with his ray gun, but Swordsman steps in to take the blow. Ramatut and Kang struggle and disappear into the time stream. Swordsman dies in Mantis' arms, and she regrets abandoning her love.
Sorry, I
So,
was having fun.
okay. So we can see here, this is where the possibly break up with Swordsman. Swordsman goes for redemption. Swordsman proves himself a hero, but dies tragically, is where the story arc is going.
Yeah, and I also have to say that nothing against him, but his death is hardly shocking or soul-searing.
No, it's a little telegraphed. if you know.
Well, not
Rarely
just
do
that.
I.
It's also he's kind of like, eh.
Oh, not only
Mhm.
that, on the cover, new King the Conqueror, Ramatut, the Mad Pharaoh, plus the shocking, soul-searing death of an Avenger. Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's Captain America, but there's no Captain America in the book.
They were rushing to get this out, so they forgot. Yeah, that was probably supposed to be Hawkeye on the cover there, but instead it's Captain America.
Or
Because,
Thor,
you know,
Or Thor.
the two
because
are very
Thor's in
easily
this.
confused.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, they
So
both have those letters on their helmets, so you
That's
know.
true.
that, sorry. Okay. I will say that when it comes to the death of swordsman, I have to agree with you, Jeff, because rarely do I actually cheer when an Avenger dies.
I was gonna say, you kill Robin or you kill Superman, big things. But you're killing the swordsman here, and it's like, eh?
Yeah, no, I actually cheered. I was very excited for him to just be gone for a while.
Go away. Yeah.
Please. Um,
Otherwise, yeah, this is somewhat bog standard. Avengers are, you know, um, Avengers aren't in the best of shape. It's just a couple of them left, and they're not exactly the super heavy hitters, but they still pull it off from behind because they're still Avengers.
I wonder if they put Captain America on the cover instead of Hawkeye, because Hawkeye also wears purple, and the way that he was standing next to Swordsman, it might have gotten distracting.
Sort of a color scheme breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but Thor would have been good for that too.
Yeah, and he's
I
actually in the book.
I agree, but Cap is much prettier.
Yes.
So can we talk about the very first page? Because I love it, and I just feel like we really need to spend time on it.
Sure.
Okay. So at the very beginning, first page you see is a huge splash page of Hawkeye looking gorgeous. This is amazing. I love the little tunic thing he's got going on. This is fantastic. But then the the flavor text is just kills me I'm reading it now for like the 20th time and I'm still laughing at it. Um, so it says a tale of changes featuring the rowdy return of Hawkeye the Marksman. Like, okay, when has Hawkeye ever been rowdy earlier, but still, guys, come on! And then, warning, be sure you read the first part of this story first. You'll find it in Avengers number 129, now on sale. If you don't heed this warning, you're gonna mess up a lot of reading enjoyment. Oh no! And then right below that, warning! To those of you who did read the first part, this is the second part. Even if it may not immediately appear so. Keep flipping those pages, Tiger. Like, hey, we know it's going to be confusing, but we promise it'll make sense later. And then the absolute best part, right at the bottom, says, warning! Too many warnings will keep us away from the action. I need this framed. I love it so much. Okay, that's all I've got.
They did certainly enjoy their editorial comments. Also, I have to say, Hawkeye's kind of in one of those absurd comic poses.
Right?
Because his torso and his hips are at, I believe, like nearly a 90-degree angle, 60 or 70 there. So he's got his top half twisted, hips thrust out, and then his legs are angled in the complete opposite direction.
Even for the world's greatest marksman, it would be incredibly hard to accurately fire a bow while leaping and contorting yourself.
And apparently he's tied to a rope, so he's swinging down from somewhere else and coming around for this.
Right? He's pulling a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I really love 60s Hawkeye. Okay, sorry. He's so... It's like they knew. Okay, anyway.
So, one thing we forgot to mention was the credits for any of these issues.
Oh, I thought we just weren't doing that anymore.
Well, I don't know. It seems like it's sort of important.
I feel like we should do it because I really enjoy the way that you say Steve Englehart.
Okay. So let me pull up the ones for 128 and 129 here. So yes, all of these are written by Steve Englehart. Um, and they all have different pencilers. Okay, so 128 was penciled by Sal Buscema. 129 was... Oh, wait, no. That's also Sal Buscema. I don't know how I thought that was a different one. Quiet me. Okay, so 128 and 129 were both penciled by Sal Buscema. They were both inked by Joe Staton. 128 was colored by Petra Goldberg. 129 was colored by Bill Mantlo. Both of them were lettered by Tom Orzechowski. And both of them have editor Roy Thomas. And then the Giant Size Avengers #2, story Steve Englehart, art Dave Cochran, lettering Tom Orzechowski, coloring Bill Mantlo, and editor Roy Thomas.
So
So
we just
Dave,
have an art change.
Yes. Well, you kind of had to have two issues come out at once.
Yeah.
So,
But you still have the same color and letterer, though, so those guys were
well,
working at the time.
oh yeah, they just chained them to the desk at the Marvel office.
Uh,
So Bill Mantlo, I should mention, is better known for being the creator of Rocket Raccoon, and so he will be the writer on the Rocket Raccoon miniseries that's coming up in I don't know how many episodes before we get to them, but we'll get to him, promise.
it wouldn't be a very good Guardians podcast if we didn't eventually get to Rocket.
Yes, but it turns out he doesn't get a series till 1985, and there's a lot of stuff that happened in the 70s.
and we
Yeah.
covered Adam, so nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, this book,
Is a
lots
book.
of setup, lots of we don't know who to trust and who not to trust, and Kang's overly convoluted plans for conquering the world. Because apparently he's under the impression that if he kills the Secretary of State, not the President, not the Vice President, the Secretary of State, and then the leaders of the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China, then I don't know if he's expecting them to fire a neutron bomb or if he's also intending to then drop a neutron bomb. But it just seems very bizarre that you're going to go to America and kill the Secretary of State, but then kill the leaders in two communist countries, completely skip over the vast majority of Europe and Africa and South America and Australia.
remember this is Cold War, so all you got to do is piss off America and China, or America and Russia, and boom, you've got World War III.
Probably why English people didn't read a lot of American comic books.
You'd be surprised, actually. I mean, they wrote the ones that actually got printed over there, which was a smaller subset than what was over here. But yes, this is like late '74 that these issues are coming out. So I want to point out, I think on page 27 it looks like, when the Vision finally frees the three women, there's a bit of back and forth between Mantis and Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch says, "Take care of Miss Harkness, Vision. She's still unconscious from Kang's rays. I have some lost time to make up for." And Mantis says, "Then we are united in that at least." And Scarlet Witch is like, "United? You and me? Never." I don't know, that sounded better in my head, I think.
You can try again.
There's also the other bicker points, because there's the mental bicker point of, who's the Celestial Madonna? Is it girl number 1, girl number 2, or girl number 3? And so Wanda's like, crap, I must be the Celestial Madonna because turning to witchcraft. And Mantis is the bad word. And then Mantis is, it's got to be the Scarlet Witch because it doesn't sound like me. And good. She can marry Kang, and then I can have the vision.
So, Celestial Madonna candidate number 1. What is your idea of a perfect date? Sorry.
Well, I like to turn everyone into a mutant and have twins.
Perfect.
That wind up being the devil.
Are they the devil?
Yes, they are the devil.
Well, if you have twins with your brother, they're the devil.
Well, no, she has them with the vision because she used her hex power to make them, but then it turns out they weren't actually children, they were fragments of Mephisto's soul, and so he comes back and reclaims them, and that's part of what drives the Scarlet Witch crazy, so that she uses her powers to start altering reality.
Wow.
Okay, but is it the second time? Because the ones when she alters... Sorry.
So, Celestial Madonna can...
So I want to point out the art on page 30, which is where you get a full page of them fighting the Macrobot with Thor in it, and it's got Mantis, like, on his head, and all the other ones kind of swooping around and shooting at him, and I don't know.
How does her cost... Oh, she's about to have a really bad wardrobe malfunction.
No, it's one of her superpowers, is that the costume stays on at all times.
It's one of all of their superpowers.
Pretty much.
For the Hulk, it turns his pants purple and turns them into shorts. But, yeah, we also get some of the bickering, page 19, where Wanda's snapping at Kang for being a monologuer, and Mantis insists that the Vision is her man, and Wanda snaps back with the, "Since when is the Vision your man, lady? Neither he nor I heard a thing about it. He's mine." And then she retorts with how she's been neglecting and abusing him, and how, you know, she'd be so much better, and yeah.
Can we Shakespeare in the Park that, Jeff?
You want to be Mantis and I'm Scarlet Witch?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
What? Since when is the Vision your man, lady? Neither he nor I heard a thing about it. He's mine.
Oh, is he? We suffer... Bleh. Never mind, I suck at life.
Oh, fine.
Okay, I'll do it again. Oh, is he? Must he suffer slavishly, then, while you play your games of neglect and abuse? Is that what you expect of a man?
Listen here. I've been going through a rough time, discovering myself. The Vision understands.
In this one's land, a woman is taught to discover her man.
So who are you, Marco Polo? If you hadn't been so intent on exploration, your first man wouldn't be in the shape he's in.
The swordsman is weak. He was not enough for me.
Silence!
That is just so beautiful. Listen here. I've been going through a rough time, discovering myself. Okay, sorry. I'm distracted. That's hilarious. Anyway.
Oh, I should do the rest of Kang's line.
Oh.
The only man in your lives now is me, so cease this raucous prattle.
Wow.
It is pretty raucous.
It's definitely prattle.
Mm. But yeah, we definitely have that whole the Vision's going to be in the middle of this whole menage a quad. I suppose it would be menage a cinq.
With Kang, yeah.
Anyways,
Oh,
But-
but don't forget about Miss What's-Her-Face, Harkness. So now it's a menage a sex.
wow, chicka, wow, wow. Except we know Agatha Harkness is not going to be the Celestial Madonna.
What? Not with her candle melty face.
And that hairdo. That, bouffant for miles and miles.
Now you listen here. I've spent years discovering myself, and this is my hairdo.
But yes, it's because it wouldn't make for very good comics for Harkness to be the Madonna and then Kang being like, oh, you mean it's not one of the attractive, scantily clad women I captured? Damn.
I really want that comic.
But yeah, then we have the weird conflict between Ramatut and Kang, where time ruptures around them.
And then it just sort of goes back to normal. They chat for a while.
Yes. Well, time ruptures around them. There's a whole bunch of weird little interspersed bits of things. I mean, it looks like Ant-Man going from Ant-Man to Giant Man to Yellow Jacket. We've got some lady in the little pink thing. I think that's Kang's wife, which is the reason that he's going back to stop himself.
Oh yeah.
Because his wife dies. We've got probably not Avengers, but clearly another group with Quicksilver. I think that's supposed to be Giant Man and Black Panther. We, for some inexorable reason, have Doom showing up here. Wait! There's Captain America!
Yes!
Oh!
He's in a single panel in the background.
Well, there's that, mouth with teeth thing, which I swear was in one of those, scenes with the In-Betweener, when Adam Warlock was off in La La Land.
Yeah.
Not that I had any idea why it would be related to this issue at all.
And then we also, equally inexorably, have a series of panels where Swordsman is freaking out more, freaked out so much he can't even cope with it, and then has a skull in his eye.
But Vision is also screaming.
Yes, for some reason. They've got all three of them screaming, except Mantis doesn't really look quite like she's screaming, more like she's just gritting her teeth.
She looks like she's in ecstasy.
Well, not in the middle one, in the one where it's got the three of them.
Oh, I see.
Mantis is in the middle there, and she's just kind of like... Rrr.
Oh,
yeah.
Two things. One, does Apocalypse exist at this point?
Apocalypse.
Oh,
That's a
God.
good question.
Yeah, I don't know if he was an early villain or not.
I don't know enough about
he
him.
was early X Factor. Let me find out.
Oh, yeah, but X Factor was...
So
80s and
X
90s,
Factor
wasn't it?
86. Yeah, no, he's not invented until 1986.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because they really hammered him hard in the 90s, because it was all grim
Yeah, that's right. Actually,
stuff.
we haven't even reached. I was going to mention this. So this is art by Dave Cochran, who is not most known, but known for being the guy who did Giant Size X-Men #1, which relaunched the X-Men, and so he is the co-creator of Colossus and Nightcrawler and whoever else was a new X-Men in that issue. Storm.
Oh, yeah, they were. They were new. Of course, when I ran into the X-Men, those were the old X-Men to me. So.
Well, right, because the Giant Size X-Men #1 is 1975, so that was 2 years before I was born.
Yeah.
So I have Dave Cockrum to thank for my second favorite ship in the whole wide world.
Oh,
Which one's
Nightcrawler
that?
and Colossus.
Nightcrawler and Wolverine.
Oh.
No,
So
Wolverine, really.
you're suggesting that Nightcrawler is into the whole daddy thing?
Yes.
Hmm?
And I have some images to show you. It might be canon.
So Ramatut.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm asking about Apocalypse for obvious reasons.
Those obvious reasons being?
And all I know about Apocalypse is that he did some stuff in ancient Egypt at one point, and he keeps trying to take over the world over and over again.
Oh yeah, he had his
Well-
pyramid and thing.
Yeah, that's all I know about him.
So the ancient Egypt stuff isn't until late 80s, early 90s that they tie him to ancient Egypt. When he first shows up, he's just kind of a mutant guy who has this apocalypse theme and makes these four horsemen. And then it's not until later that they're like, oh yeah, he's immortal and from Egypt, by the way.
Oh,
Just, BT dubs.
just saying it up. So, yes, we have this
Yeah, I've
panel
been reading.
with... Oh, go ahead.
Well, actually, I've been reading a bunch of X titles along with Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men.
Oh, yeah. How's that
This is
going?
another podcast.
There's another podcast. It is excellent.
Hmm.
Although if you search for it, you currently have to search for Rachel and Miles. But
But this is the other part that gets to me, because you've got time does its wacky thing. And then in that way, Kang realizes that Mantis is the Madonna. But you have Ramatut trying to convince him not to do this stuff, and him asserting, but I now know about all this, so that means I will never do it. And then future him, asserting that no, you can't not do it because you have to do it, and so you will always do it. So you've got
exactly
the two
as I remember he
conflicts.
did it.
Yeah, you've got the two conflicts of, is this a completely linear timeline where all these events will occur regardless of anything else, or is this an alterable timeline wherein Kang can actually alter his destiny by understanding how the future functions? And
Yes.
this is why I say that time travel never works out well in comics.
Mm-mm.
Don't try and figure out Kang's timeline. Like I said, it takes a 6-page chart to diagram it. So, should we cover the final scene with Mantis and Swordsman?
Very much so.
Yes.
Shakespeare in the Park?
Who wants to be who?
I guess I'll be Mantis.
You hate getting typecast as the women?
So, a stuck up, you know what, and so I don't want to make her seem, lovable.
Did you want to keep being Kang then, Jesse?
Well, it's Swordsman here, not Kang.
Oh, actually, and I thought we were doing the prelim where Kang was just about to shoot,
That's not that important. They blah 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 blah. They shoot whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, God, the
Again,
trap
it's
Like
happened.
it
more of
doesn't
that.
make enough sense.
It's more of that, is this linear or is this not linear? Because he's like, I'm going to shoot the Mantis, and Mantis is like, no, you can't shoot me because you didn't shoot me, so put your weapon away. It's, okay.
So who wants to be the narrator?
Is there a narrator? Oh,
There's
yes,
just
there
those
is.
2 blocks, yeah.
Because the swordsman doesn't actually say anything.
He does.
He does.
Well,
He totally gets to. It would be.
well, there's the one line,
Yeah,
yes.
He's got
So,
3.
3?
There's like 4 panels of him talking while he's dying.
Oh, we're even later than that. I'm sorry. I was at the point where he was actually getting shot.
We're like last page where the getting shot is not that exciting. We're talking about the like
We don't care about that.
last
cares
page
about
where
that?
he gets to like bare his soul and then it because No, he gets shot. Then 3 pages later, he dies.
As
Well,
the Avengers crowd around him.
He's a superhero. As the Avengers crowd around him and do nothing to try to heal him.
A superhero with a mohawk.
Except it's not real. It's just part of it.
So you want to be swordsman?
I can do swordsman. You want to do the narrator?
I can either way.
Okay. Well, you do the narrator. I'll do swordsman.
And
Okay.
action.
Mantis has been taught many things. A martial art. Wait. Sorry. Let me start over. I didn't have time to prepare my line.
I was going to say that's where the magic of editing comes in.
That out. I'll punch
We're
you
not
this.
live. We're not live.
Yay!
But we are
Okay.
live.
Sort of live. Okay. Mantis has been taught many things. A martial arts expert, a devoted lover, a faithless lover, and now even a Madonna. But at this time and in this place, there can be no doubt at all that she is a woman in agony.
Darling, darling, you cannot die. You must fight back. Overcome.
Afraid my body's not as recuperative as yours, Mantis. This is it.
No, my love. This one must right the wrong she has done to you. She was young, proud, and she used you so badly. She sees it now.
We are only what we are, darling. I tried to be worthy of you, of the Avengers. But like Kang, I was doomed from the beginning. I'm a failure. I'm just one of those people who doesn't count.
Darling!
Yes, really dramatic there.
I'm tearing up a little bit. Nice. That was well done. Mm. And then we
I
get
was
to
going to
the
add
Tony
Iron
Stark.
Man's line.
Yeah, let's have Iron Man in there.
Every Avenger counts, swordsman. Every one.
Sleep well, Avenger. Rest in peace. I'm assuming that's Scarlet Witch saying that. I don't actually know.
Actually, I think that's Vision.
Damn it!
Yeah, it's Vision.
Somebody else say it then. I can only be the girls.
No, it's okay. It's
No,
okay.
no,
You
somebody
could
else
be
say
the
it.
guy.
My read wasn't very good. Somebody else do it.
Sleep well, Avenger. Rest in peace. I try to go for the robot
Okay,
thing.
you can be Vision from now out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks. That's a real great honor.
I'm having like visions of Data, and oh, it was beautiful. I knew exactly that you were Vision. Jeff, I've learned something new today.
Well, you know, I did get an award in 1995 for Best Actor. Anyways,
So yeah, I would say this. The significance in continuity is where this ties in Kang and Rama Tut as being the same person, which I'm not sure if that's what it ties in or if that's just if that's been established before. I'm not sure if this has any major significance other than Swordsman's dead, and no one ever wanted him to come back.
Yep.
but he did, didn't he?
Shh. No.
Because they always dredge the
Did he?
bottom of the barrel.
Toodaloo, motherfucker!
I'm sure he did. He probably came back as somebody else.
So I'm wondering.
Certainly does make quite a lot of appearances after this,
Yeah.
but
And then later, Clint mysteriously has a brother who does swordplay.
Hmm.
Diddly, 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 diddly.
Yeah, apparently, according to this, he makes one more appearance and then he just dies, and that's it.
according to which?
It's Marvel.com. At least Jacques Dunesque, who was the original swordsman. I don't know if somebody else came along and called themselves the swordsman.
His name is
Well,
Jacques.
they did, because I definitely want to say that in Thunderbolts, um, Baron Zemo pretends to be swordsman for a while.
Well, yeah, but that's probably just his pretending.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, he certainly is listed in a lot of things in the comic book database, but I don't know how many of them are just flashbacks to when Hawkeye was young and something.
wow,
But
this is just terrible.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's just.
because like there's 4 appearances in the all-new Hawkeye that's like actually currently ongoing, but I know that those are flashbacks to when Hawkeye is young.
I haven't picked up that title yet. I've been kind of hesitant to do so.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
undecided. It is definitely not Matt Fraction's Hawkeye.
And I'm not going to lie, I was hesitant about Fraction doing Hawkeye, and by issue 2, I was infatuated.
Yeah.
I can't get over it. Anyway.
So, do we have any closing thoughts? I mean, I think we've covered this story arc here.
Well, it's again one of these sort of cosmic-y things with the whole celestial Madonna thing. So it kind of doesn't make any sense either.
Well, so we're going to continue more Avengers and Mantis because this doesn't really make sense. Just like that first issue kind of was leading into where this is going, this trilogy is leading into a longer story arc because this whole area is a little bit up and down. I mean, and yeah, it's going somewhere even further. It'll be probably another episode or 2 before we can really close out the Mantis saga because her story is just that weird and complex.
Is that purring coming through?
No.
No.
Okay. Yay, Snowball Mike! Other Mike would have picked it up.
But yeah, it's. I mean, you can kind of see over the span of this short series why they decided to pick the conflict they picked, because Kang makes for a very easy time-related reveal to suggest that big things are going to happen with Mantis. But yeah, I suppose it's mostly the era. It's just this all seems very contrived to try to force character growth or pushing along the story of a character. Because on top of that, you also have very little happening with the actual Avengers themselves. I mean, they're fighting Kang, but they're fighting Kang because of Mantis, although they don't find out about it until later. And then it's mostly Mantis. So. Yeah.
I am really excited for Mantis to go even more cosmic because I think it really suits her story. And I think that they find her voice as the Celestial Madonna and then the aftermath of that. I think that rereading the early Mantis stuff is a little difficult because I know the amazingness that she will be, and I'm very disappointed that she's not there yet. So
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of that comes from these. I mean, Tony Stark in this particular situation in Iron Man is still kind of not completely fleshed out
right.
compared to more modern iterations of him. Similarly with Hawkeye. Um, but this, of course, is roughly around the time period where I really got into Vision and the Scarlet Witch. So this is kind of me at my prime in that particular one. So I'm fine with those two, but of course they advance beyond and do all their weird, wacky stuff too. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of this early stuff, in retrospect, seems to really be establishing the characters for what they do with them later on. Save for the swordsman, who apparently they don't really do anything with.
Thank goodness. Thank Groot.
I mean, sad to clearly have made a character that you used a lot in this era to do a bunch of things, and then decide, you know what, this guy didn't go anywhere, so we're just going to off him.
It'll probably be a situation where they bring him back. Like, in the next 5 years or something, they'll bring him back, and he'll be even cooler and better than ever. And written by Kelly Sue DeConnick or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. You can edit this out later. Spoiler alert, no.
Right?
Spoiler alert, he comes back very briefly, possessed by an alien to be Mantis's husband for a short while, and then desiccates into nothingness.
That sounds about right.
And then comes back under the control of a Reaper, turns against the Reaper, and dies again.
So, one thing we haven't gone over with Mantis being this whole homewrecker, deciding that... Are you guys still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry,
Yep.
The cat changed the screen. With with her being this whole homewrecker, deciding that she doesn't love swordsman anymore, she's going to go after Vision. I mean, her name is Mantis. And if there's one thing that I learned really early on, it's that praying mantises do one thing really, really well. And that's go through mates like they're, gumballs.
That actually is an interesting aspect that I hadn't considered with the naming. Because usually they have, particularly in these early ones, the names are fairly heavy hints to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
Vision's powers are based on solar energy.
Iron Man is made out of titanium.
Well, originally he was made out of iron. Hawkeye, of course, is, that suggests somebody who has excellent vision and is a good shot and things like that. Scarlet Witch is now actually starting to dabble into witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Mantis, and that does also feed into the why she's dumping swordsman going after the Vision originally. In that, she's this cold, calculating, almost insectoid woman. And then this moment here is to bring her into more of a humanocentric situation where she's actually got a certain amount of empathy and investment, as opposed to just going through the motions as she was before.
And for me, that scene with Swordsman when Swordsman is dying, that scene is so significant because it is, as far as I understand the storyline, going back and forth between people meeting their destiny, as we have been throughout all the other characters and everything that become the Guardians. That for me is when Mantis becomes the Celestial Madonna, and she shows that she has heart and she does have feeling, and she's no longer just going from mate to mate and being this, before she met Swordsman, she was working as a hooker. It's, she definitely had this past, and now she's turned everything completely around. She's feeling love, and she's feeling remorse and regret, and I think that is the moment when she does become the Celestial Madonna and does become, spoiler alert, the big mom of it all.
Yeah, so I will note that, she was introduced by Englehart, So it is likely that he seems to be the sort who has long-running plans because, she's introduced in 114. Actually, she makes a first appearance in like 112, 113, but she first actually, gets to really be there for more than a panel splash in 114. And this is, 129, so we've had 15 issues leading up to this moment, and it's going to be another half dozen issues before her story's really concluded.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and it's not even necessarily concluded per se, but
well, it's a pretty good gap. At the end of this Avengers run, she disappears, and her next appearance is her next Marvel appearance.
Right.
She makes a jump.
you're kind of cutting in and out there, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm losing you.
Yeah. Somewhere between and Silver Surfer, and she makes an appearance in this league.
You can edit out the spots in between with that one. But yeah, we're looking at something that's monthly, so we're looking at already over a year or more since her original appearance. Actually, well over a year, almost 4 or 5 years.
No.
No?
15 issues, year and a couple months.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay. So yeah, in comics, that's a long-running story.
Yeah, especially for this era.
Yeah.
And after she leaves, Moondragon joins the Avengers, and her story with the Avengers is 14 issues.
Oh, Moondragon.
You are the most beautiful bald woman in existence, if Daredevil is to be believed.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he is an expert.
He does seem to like the women's.
I would have to say that you'd have to enjoy women quite a lot in order to stoop as low as Typhoid Mary.
He went out with Typhoid Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, he didn't know it was Typhoid Mary at the time. That was her introduction, actually.
But he knows later, and they still get it on a couple times.
Oh, well, I didn't read any of that, but...
It's actually...
I haven't read that much Daredevil.
It's not Daredevil, it's Deadpool, which is why I know it.
Oh, okay.
It's original run Deadpool stuff. It's Deadpool and Bullseye meet up, which is probably my favorite partnership ever.
Yeah, he seems to have a thing for assassins.
Yeah.
Because there was also Elektra as well.
Right.
So
yeah, Matt Murdock is somebody to be believed.
Okay, so I realized I opened up some tabs. As I was closing them, I remembered why I opened one of them. So West Coast Avengers didn't start till 1984.
Oh.
So this would have been 10 years before Hawkeye was leading a team.
The West Coast Avengers are older than me. And this is when...
young.
I know. This is when I say bye-bye.
All right, well,
It's
so
my
we should wrap up.
bedtime.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks. It's been an interesting look at Mantis's evolution and the death of Swordsman, which, yeah. Anything else? Or just goodbye?
Thanks for listening, and thanks for sticking through the hard parts of Mantis with us. It's going to get really cool.
I'm certainly interested in finding out.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty good. I will stop the recording.
Ching.